Is it safe to travel to the Tigray region in northern Ethiopia? So many of my followers on Instagram have asked me this particular question after I have shared some impressions from my last visit to Tigray in northern Ethiopia. And the reason they are asking is because between 2020 and 2022, the region experienced a devastating, brutal, and genocidal war in which almost 800,000 people got killed and precious cultural heritage sites got attacked and destroyed. So in today's episode, I want to share with you 3 things that you must know and consider before visiting Tigray. Welcome to Plan B Back to Africa. My name is Wayne. If you're new to this channel, thanks for tuning in. In this channel, I share my personal journey of discovering the beautiful, culturally rich and diverse continent of Mama Africa, together with my 2 children, investment opportunities on the continent, and I'm also sharing my knowledge on attractive places to settle on the continent for the African diaspora who seeks to start a new life on the continent. Right now we are in Johannesburg in South Africa having an amazing time, and I can't wait to share more with you. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel to stay always up to date. And with that being said, let's get started. So first things first, Tigray is absolutely worth a visit. It's a mesmerizing place with so much history, beautiful cultural heritage sites, lovely, welcoming people, so it should definitely be on your bucket list when visiting Ethiopia. But before we dive in, I want to share with you a short story which perfectly explains why Tigray is called an open-air museum and how the people of Tigray have been able to preserve and protect their heritage for such a long time. So a couple of years ago, around 9-10 years ago, there was this Chinese construction company which was assigned with building a new road. So the Chinese construction workers were drilling a mountain and collecting rocks for construction purposes, which outraged the local community. So farmers, priests, elders collectively went to the local municipality in the town of Ugro to complain and warn the officials to tell the Chinese construction workers not to touch that mountain because there is something unholy below this particular mountain. They don't know what it is, but they were taught by their fathers, their forefathers, for hundreds of years not to touch that mountain. Luckily, the local officials took this warning seriously and went to that site to investigate. And then what happened next is truly unbelievable, fam. The local officials went to that mountain together with the local research team and started to dig a little bit, and not even 5 meters below the surface, they uncovered a fully preserved temple dating back 3,000 years from the Sabaean time, when the people were worshipping the moon god Al-Makka. So this temple was dedicated to the moon god Al-Makka, and because the majority of the local population is Christian Orthodox, they considered everything that predates Christ and that is not Christian as evil. So it was passed down orally from generation to generation for more than 2,000 years that they should not touch this mountain. And this is why this precious heritage was preserved for such a long time. And this is a phenomenon that you will find all over Tigray. It's basically a culture. When the local community decides there will be no digging, no construction, and no excavation in this area, they will have the final word. And this is how the people of Tigray were able to preserve their heritage and also precious resources for such a long time. If this was not the case, we would have probably ended up like Egypt, with all our precious heritage looted and displayed in museums all over the Western world. Now let's get to the first thing that you must consider before planning your trip to Tigray. As I mentioned in the beginning, there was a brutal genocidal war not long ago. So be prepared to see a lot of suffering, to see malnourished children, to see a lot of people begging, and also an increased crime rate. It is not as safe as it used to be, but we are talking about petty crime. Just be very careful with your phone and with your personal belongings. So actually, I honestly believe this is not the right time to visit Tigray. Unless you are from Tigray yourself and want to visit family or start a project to help rebuilding the region. But you know, on the other hand, tourism is and has always been an essential stream of income for the people. However, I believe if you plan to visit the Tigray region, you should also give back to the community beyond the money that you spend there for your own enjoyment. Now, the question is, how can you give back? You know, there are so many ways. One is, for instance, to visit and donate to one of the camps which hosts thousands of internally displaced people which fled ethnic cleansing from the western part of Tigray. And these people, they haven't received humanitarian aid for almost a year. I visited such a camp and started a small fundraising campaign through which we were able to donate almost 10,000 kg of corn. Besides that, you can get in touch and donate to locally run NGOs, and I will link some in the description below. They are doing amazing work and they need urgent help. Whatever you want to do, I believe it is only right to give back and uplift the local community. So let's get to the second thing that you should consider before planning your visit to Tigray. Make sure you book your tour with Tigrayan tour operators, please. That way you can make sure that your money reaches the right people. You know, a lot of tour companies which organize trips to Tigray and are based in Addis Ababa are run by non-Tigrayan tour operators who profit off the heritage sites in Tigray, but they were not only silent, but many of them were even supporting the war against the people of Tigray and the attacks against their cultural heritage. I witnessed this with my own eyes. When the war broke out in 2020, I was based in Addis Ababa, working as a tour operator, and the person that I was working with at that time, who is a non-Tigrayan and who connected me with local Tigrayan tour operators in Tigray, and who considered these people his friend. You don't want to know, you cannot imagine. When the war broke out, this person used its platform to convince the world that the atrocities that are happening in Tigray during the war are fake news, that it's all propaganda, when in fact all he needed to do was give the people that he called his friends in Tigray a call to confirm if what we are hearing in the news is real, because that is what I did. I talked to the people on the ground, my friends who work as tour operators, for instance, in the Gibraltar region or in Axum, and they confirmed everything that we heard on the news. And these are people that you can trust. They wouldn't make this up. And in fact, you cannot make this up. The things that have happened during the 2 years of this genocidal war are indescribable. So this taught me a big lesson. Please be careful with who you book your tours to the Tigray region. Besides that, I can guarantee you, your overall experience of visiting these cultural heritage sites in Tigray will be so much better and much more meaningful if you decide to go with somebody who grew up there, because your local guide has a close relationship to the local people, to the priests, to the monks, to the nuns, based on mutual respect and trust. And most importantly, when you decide to book your tour with a local tour operator and go to the heritage sites with a local tour guide, you will learn what truly happened during the war. Because as I have mentioned before, these heritage sites were attacked too. There were so many atrocities that have been committed by federal soldiers in and around these cultural heritage sites, which gave them a new meaning, which you have to learn about. And so if you book with a non-Tigrayan tour operator, what they usually do is they will join you on this tour, then hire a local tour guide, which will only receive a small share. And then what will happen is you will never learn about what truly happened during the war, because the local people, the priests, your tour guide, they will not feel safe to speak about what they have witnessed in front of a non-Tigrayan Ethiopian. And you will also never learn about the miracles and the amazing stories of divine intervention that happened during the war. And believe me, there are so many that will absolutely blow your mind. Let's get to the third thing that you must consider before visiting the Tigray region, which is please leave the red, yellow, and green at home. Whether it is a flag, whether it is a bracelet, a scarf, or a dress, don't bring it to Tigray. You must understand, it may carry a positive meaning for you, because I understand outside of Ethiopia, in a different context, it symbolizes something positive. You know, so many African countries have these three colors in their flag, which is also because of the fact that they have been inspired by the Ethiopian flag, which symbolized Pan-African Black freedom and, you know, independence. I get that. But for the people of Tigray, it carries a totally different meaning. And you may traumatize and trigger the people on the ground who are still healing, who are still mourning their deads. And this is because, you know, the people of Tigray were slaughtered in the name of this flag. Ethiopians were rallied around this flag to join the war against their brothers and sisters in Tigray. You know, it is for this very reason that this color scheme of red, yellow, and green is almost non-existent today in the Tigray region. So please respect the feeling of the people towards this flag. It is totally irrelevant what this flag means to you. The people have lost mothers, sisters, fathers, children who were killed in the name of this flag. So these are the three things that you must consider before visiting the Tigray region. Besides that, know that you will be safe and that the people of Tigray are so sweet and so welcoming. Just stick to these three advices and I promise you, you will be able to make the most of your stay. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, show me some love and leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell to stay always up to date. And I see you next week. Bye!